This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. Hello everyone, Andy Pickering here. Got a fun show for you today. You're going to like this if you're at all into Ethereum or NFTs. We have a good show, but before we get into it, got to give a shout out to our new sponsor. Yes, we have a new sponsor, and that is PrimeXBT. Yes, PrimeXBT is an award-winning Bitcoin-based trading platform that offers access to over 50 assets, including crypto, forex, commodities, and indices. And to provide the highest level of liquidity, PrimeXBT aggregates data from 12 industry-leading exchanges and data feed providers. PrimeXBT offers high leverage. Yes, indeed, they go up to 100x on crypto assets and as high as 1000x in the traditional markets, and their interface is suitable for both professional and beginner traders. It's also home to a co-vesting platform which allows users to apply the copy trading strategies of the most successful professional traders. You want to learn more? Of course you do. Just check them out today at primexbt.com, and of course I will make sure there is a link in the show notes, but for now it is on with the show. My guest today is Andras Kristof. Andras is the CEO and founder at Ethercards, a limited collection of dynamic NFT cards that can activate all sorts of fascinating things, really. Everything from discounts to unlocks, connections to the physical world, and even updates or state triggers based on real world events. Fascinating stuff. Welcome to the show, Andras.
Hello everybody, and thank you very much. Much appreciated for the invitation.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, Andras. Let's begin with you before we start to learn about Ethercards. Love to just hear a little bit of a background and introduction from your good self.
I've been a technologist. I've been dealing with technology with smaller and larger companies for much longer than I want to remember. And then I started to do startups and my own businesses about 15 years ago. And after some successful and less successful enterprises, I got introduced to blockchain technology back in 2013, where for context, Bitcoin was, I think, $10 or $30 when we started to engage with the ecosystem, and Ethereum obviously did not exist. So the first thing that we did, we built a Bitcoin ATM, the first one in Asia. But after that, we realized that it's not going to provide the technology and the needs that we would need from the technologies. So we built our own asset management system by forking Ripple. Again, there was no Ethereum yet. And we built a system where anybody was able to issue their own tokens. It went well. We actually got it funded, but later in 2014, Ethereum beta came out, and we realized that Ethereum is significantly better than our tech. So we dropped our tech and we started to work with Ethereum. So we have been working with Ethereum since the beta days, and worked with Consensus, the Ethereum Foundation, and other projects as well. And then about 4 years ago, we started working with NFTs. And then very quickly we realized or went through the hooray, we can put a JPEG on the token phase, and wanted to see what else we can do with NFTs. And we started to implement different kind of utilities behind it. And basically Ethercards was grown from the experience of these last 4 years.
Yeah, very very nicely said, Andras, and you're right. So essentially, your team or the founders at EtherCards, as you've said, you've kind of, I suppose, you've been involved with Ethereum since the very beginning and with NFTs since the very beginning, and so why we've had this amazing NFT boom or bubble, whatever you want to call it, this year, and a lot of that has focused, I suppose, around the idea of JPEGs or profile pictures, art on the blockchain, which is super cool in itself. But yeah, I've been looking at EtherCards, and you're right. I was quite surprised at just how complex this kind of ecosystem is that you guys are building, and I think the key word here is utility. But so let's not get ahead of ourselves. I don't know where you want to start with this, but maybe give us a bit of the origin story on EtherCards and start to unravel, or start to learn what an EtherCard is.
Okay. So again, we have been in the space for long, and we did all kinds of projects with and without NFTs, and we were actually working on a project for which we have received a very generous grant from the Ethereum Foundation, which is kind of an educational system using blockchain technology, using NFTs. And one thing that became very clear very quickly after we started, that is going to be extremely difficult to get it funded by VCs, because this was a project that was on the blockchain, but did not have its own ERC20 token, and it was meant to create a sustainable ecosystem. So, because of the lack of ERC20 token, there was no how do I say this? There was no number go up, no token to ape in. So we did not have that kind of luxury as many of the DeFi projects had, where they could get funded by issuing a token, a quote unquote utility token. Also, because it was supposed to be a sustainable system that kind of created sustainable communities, there was very little incentives for traditional VCs to invest, because by definition, there were no big returns of the project. And then we realized that this kind of situation is not unique to us. There are many other projects that cannot be invested in the so-called traditional ways: infrastructure projects, academic researchers, open source projects, and a lot of other things. So that's when the idea came to build a funding and monetization framework utilizing NFTs that enables any such project, as long as they have a community around them, a community that is interested in the project and in the maintenance of the project, to actually create an alternative way of funding and monetizing themselves. And this is what we built. This is what EtherCards is. And from this point of view, if I may put it this way, you said that at the beginning that EtherCards are the cards with the utilities. In my definition, that is not our product. Our product is the platform that generated those cards, and those cards, the EtherCards, the 10,000 cards, are just one application of the actual project that is the platform as a service that can enable anybody with a community to generate NFTs that gives value to that community, and in return, that community will give value back to the project.
Yeah, and that's you're exactly right, Andras, and that is a very important distinction, listeners. So effectively, while there is an NFT collection called EtherCards, and it's quite it's a very sophisticated, complex, dynamic collection of NFT cards in its own right. But yeah, as Andras has said, there's EtherCards is also it's a set of tools. It's a set of tools that enables anyone to launch an NFT collection, I guess to monetize their community or grant benefits to their community. And I can see that, Andras, there's going to be just a huge demand, I think, for these kind of services, because you effectively make it easy for any community or brand or whatever it is to launch not just a basic NFT, but quite a sophisticated NFT with already inbuilt utility, right?
Yeah, it is actually, the platform actually has two parts. One part is the actual interface and platform as a service that enables you to design these NFTs. And when I'm talking about design, it's not only designing from the visual point of view, but also from the utility point of view. So you will be able to create this collection that looks the way you want it to look, that can be dynamic in terms of the looks as well, but also has utility traits that makes sense in the context of the specific project and community. And that is just half of the platform. So you can design these NFTs, you can put the visuals and the utility on the NFTs the way it makes sense for your community. And then there is the other part of the platform that is a community space where these NFTs can be immediately utilized. In the first iteration of this community place is going to be an online chat system and an online live streaming and game system where there is no username, no password. The only way to log in and to enter this space is by having one of the NFTs that you issued for your community. So these two things, the NFTs that are specifically designed for your community, and this community space that, again, specifically designed to accept and give more utility to those NFTs, are the two parts of the platform that this self-service platform will give to you.
All right. Well, let's use some real world examples, Andras, so our listeners can understand, what you guys are building. So let's start with some of the different creatives, artists, celebrities, communities, people that have used your platform to create an NFT community. So give us some examples and talk about some of the different utilities that they've built in.
Sure. The very first bigger project that we did was with LaMelo Ball, a famous, very good young professional basketball player. And we started to work with him back in April this year, 2021, and created him a set of NFTs that were able to react to external influences. Some of his NFTs, for example, turned into gold when he received the Rookie of the Year award. Also, he's utilizing many of the utility traits and other features of the platform in order to give value to his fans. Another example is the great artist Steve Aoki. He is a DJ plus visual artist, and he is using our platform, using the EtherCars platform to give utility to his Dominion X NFTs. He has his series of animated movies, and the NFTs work well with those animations. And he's utilizing something that we call the forges. In the forge, you need to find a specific set of NFTs, let's say 3 previously issued NFTs from Steve Aoki. And then by forging them together, you can receive a very unique piece that cannot be received in any other way, thus creating engagement with the community. So this is also very important, that what we are what we started to do is a platform to help open source projects and other community-based projects that did not have a traditional way of funding and monetizing themselves. And what we found out that the system that we released can actually work with any project as long as there is a community. Actors, artists, athletes, YouTubers, cosplayers, companies, sports teams, anybody, as long as there is a community that is interested in that person or in that project, can actually utilize this system. So now we've got a wide variety of projects coming online, from open source technical projects to indie films, to musicians, to artists and sportsmen like LaMelo Ball or Mike Tyson.
Yes, I'm pleased you mentioned Mike Tyson because so tell us about the Mike Tyson collection.
Mike Tyson was a very interesting piece that we did in collaboration with OpenSea.
Yep.
And they are pretty much standard NFTs, not PFPs. One of the major distinguishing factor that they do have utility traits on them. One of the utility traits is a very important trait. We call it an access trait. The access trait is a trait that gives you access to some sort of resource or service or something else. In this particular case, the access trait is that if you have that particular NFT and you utilize the access trait, you will be able to redeem that for a visit in Mike Tyson's ranch, and apparently you can even meet him and spar with him.
Yeah, like if you're crazy enough
if you dare, yes.
Yeah, if you dare. Fantastic, I love that, and the artwork's really cool as well. I forget who was the collaborating artist with that collection.
I'm sorry, I don't remember their name.
That's okay.
We worked together with OpenSea and a third-party company who provided us the art, but I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Tell us, Andreas. Then I'm curious how does the business model work for you guys? So because I imagine there would be, you know, you'd have kind of, I suppose, clients like, say, Mike Tyson, right? Who, you know, he's already got a bit of cash probably, and can afford to just you know, pay an agency to then choose the top agencies and do it all for him. But then you've got like really small charities, small communities that have much less resources. How do you come up with a business model that fits all these different scenarios?
Yeah, actually, it is very simple. In most of the cases, we make money if you make money. In other words, we take a small percentage of the sales after the NFT collection that you design or we design together. Also, we need to highlight that the business model that has been going on so far will not be the business model once the self-service platform is out. So we have been working in this self-service platform, and we've got many of the components working properly, and we are actually using it internally, but it's not released yet. This is my biggest issue and the most important delivery that we need to make. In some ways, because of the fantastic collaborations with many of the famous people and great projects, we have been busy with providing the technical expertise for them, and we did not put sufficient effort into releasing the platform, which we are now mitigating. So we are working on full steam to get the self-service platform out, and once the self-service platform is out, then for most of the projects, like 95% of the projects, they don't actually need to interact with us, with our developers, to issue their own sets of NFTs, because the platform is taking care of everything, including issuing the generating the website and deploying the smart contracts. So once that is done, we will be able to significantly reduce the already not huge percentage that we are working with. And I expect at the beginning to have like a single digit percentage taken from the sales of NFTs that were released through the platform. But if everything goes well, due to the Dust ecosystem that we are again releasing now, we may be able to go down to technically zero or next to zero in terms of the percentages. So technically 100% or 99% plus of the actual funds will go to the owners of the project.
Fantastic, Andras, and this is just so fascinating. So, you mentioned the Dust ecosystem there. So, listeners probably need to understand what that is. And so, I suppose this is quite complex, but I suppose it all ties together. But so again, the distinction here, and this is where we can talk. I don't know how deep you want to go into the Ether cards collection, but I think it's a fascinating collection, and I think we can use that to kind of speak to some of the utility use cases and perhaps the future of NFTs as well. But yeah, obviously the Dust ecosystem as well. So I don't know where you want to start, but start at the beginning, I guess, with Ether cards. Maybe give us an overview of that collection and how it all works.
So Ether cards are and this is something that we again fixing, because everything is called as Ether cards now. The company is called Ether cards, the platform is called Ether cards.
Yes.
The actual NFTs are called Ether cards, which creates a lot of confusion.
It does.
So we are in the midst of rebranding. The company and the platform will have a different name, and the Ether cards will stay Ether cards. And that will give a much needed kind of clarifications and disambiguation in this as well. Yes. So the Ether cards, the 10,000 NFTs that we issued back in March, are the NFTs that we used the very early version of the platform to issue to our own community. And in many ways, it's a pilot. In many ways, we are utilizing and experimenting with a lot of features that will eventually find its way into the platform so it can be used by others as well. So Ether cards if owning an Ether cards has a lot of benefits. One of the benefits is that the cards are very soon going to start receiving Dust. Dust is this ERC20 token that we created, which is kind of the ecosystem token or utility token of the Ether cards ecosystem. It is being given away by airdrops, but it's a very different airdrop than the usual airdrop. The way it is going to work is that as long as you have one of the Ether cards, you will keep receiving a continuous airdrop of Dust. The whole idea kind of came from this silly analogy of Ether cards, and NFTs in general are collectibles, digital collectibles. But if you have a physical collectible, let's say a figurine of an anime character or something, and you buy it and you open the box and place it on the shelf behind you, and you don't touch it for 2 months, what does it do? It starts to collect dust. So this was the way why we actually call this token Dust as well, because Ether cards, these digital collectibles, do the same. They collect dust, and this dust can be taken from the cards, can be redeemed from the cards, and can be used for many things that make sense in the ecosystem. One of the things that it can be used for is to redeem expensive and valuable NFTs from either from other collections or from collections that were created on our own platform by other artists or other projects. For example, right now we've got dust pools with still, I think, 19 CryptoPunks in them and several other NFTs. And if you collect enough dust, you can just go there and redeem one of the actual CryptoPunks. We had 27 when we started, and 8 has been redeemed. So if you have Ether cards, you will get dust. If you have dust, you can use it for many things. For example, you can redeem great NFTs, and the NFTs that can be redeemed for dust are always increasing. So whenever we do a new project, there will be new NFTs placed in the dust pool, so you can redeem them. So you can redeem NFTs. You will be able to utilize the dust once the self-service platform is released. You will be able to pay for platform features utilizing dust. Again, if you have enough Ether cards and you are patient enough, you can actually wait until you get the dust for free, and then you can just use dust to pay for the platform features. And the third thing that you can do very soon, you can prepay, you can reserve upcoming NFTs. So we are getting some very, very great collections very soon on the platform. In the likes of, for example, we did the Toddler Pillars collection just last week, and we are doing 2 more collections this week. And part of that collection will actually be in the dust pool, but also future collections can be prepaid and reserved by dust. So you know that the collection will drop in 2 weeks. You can pay with dust now, and when the collection drops, you will receive your NFTs without having to rush, without having to pay or participate in the high gas-free transactions. You can just pay with dust and receive your NFTs without any issues. So dust, I'm sorry, I keep going. So basically dust can be used for many, many things in the ecosystem.
Yes, you're right, and man, it's so fascinating, Andras. So I have an Ether card myself, and so I know a little bit about how it works, and it's just you see more and more NFT projects are doing this now as well, just as the whole space gets more sophisticated and people are building more and more clever ecosystems around their communities, and so they're looking to ways to monetize those communities, and airdrops, right? So one of the ways you can incentivize your community to not sell, right? To hold their NFTs instead of just kind of flipping them. You want your community to be engaged and to bring more community people in. That benefits everyone. But yeah, airdrops and token airdrops are just some of the benefits that are doing. That are helping facilitate these kind of opportunities. And I love the way that with the dust, so you guys you did an airdrop to all of the Ether card holders, but as you explained, it's a good way to explain it. Just if you have your Ether card sitting on the shelf collecting dust, there's quite a clever mechanism, isn't it? Is it every 30 days, I think it collects dust, but
Actually, it collects dust after every block. So it's a continuous trickling of dust.
Yes, yeah, that's right. So, but it's the first 30 days without moving it, and then that's the first level, I think.
Even that is not yet decided, and
right.
Dust collection is not yet switched on. I expect to see that starting in January.
Yes.
So we did drop the initial amount of dust, just enough to redeem all the NFTs from our dust pool. So technically, there is enough dust in the ecosystem right now to redeem all the remaining 19 CryptoPunks. But the actual dust trickling is not yet switched on. We want that to be coincide with the release of the first version of the platform. So there will be ways for people to utilize that dust that will start entering the ecosystem.
Cool. Makes sense, Andras. Man, there's so much more we could talk about because it's just one of the more interesting collections, I think. So the artwork for Ether cards is almost secondary because they're designed to be so dynamic and just a whole suite of different utility features and tools. But do you want to talk just a little bit about what you call the accidental collaboration art process to how you put this together? Because that's fascinating in itself.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. So when we started the EtherCards project and we were getting ready for launch, we were not known. Everything was very unclear. So we reached out to great many artists, 60 plus, in fact, and collaborated with them to either give us or create art for the upcoming cards. Again, this was a very uncertain time. Nobody knew whether the project will be successful or not. So we also created, we received a lot of great existing pieces of art, but we also had an idea for a collaboration layered artwork. So we created this 5-layer system, and they requested about 15 artists to submit 5 layers each. We gave them very simple and simple instructions regarding the layers. And then they created those layers, and then we randomly applied 5 of those layers to each of the 10,000 Ether cards, which came out fantastically. So you will see cards where each layer was created by a different artist, yet they work together very well. This is the art that we call the accidental collaboration. And this is something that is going to see a significant improvement in the next phase, where we are going to release these art engines that basically going to be autonomous pieces of art with collaboration between artists. I don't want to talk too much about it because it's still sort of under wrap, but we've got some great artists coming on who are going to be the inaugural artists of this new kind of art form.
All right. Well, we'll have to look out for all that in the future, Andras. So one of the other things I had in my notes that I thought is fascinating is I suppose it's an integration with the Chainlink. Now I can't even see what it's called, but it's the for
oracles and VRF. So basically,
I'm sorry. It's the verified randomness. But please, you explain.
Yes, yes. The problem is on blockchain technology. If you have a blockchain, that there is zero randomness on it. Everything is deterministic. Everything can be calculated. That is great and necessary in order to have accountability, but it's terrible when it comes to actual randomness or games or anything else where actual random numbers are required. This is one of the surprising but very difficult problems. So one of the best solutions for this is created by Chainlink. It's called VRF, Verifiable Random Numbers.
Yes.
That gives you the ability to get real randomness by a sort of an oracle from outside of the blockchain. But yet, it is something that is verified against being manipulated, and it's a fantastic tool. So we are utilizing these, and we are making it part of our platform. So other projects who are going to do their releases with this platform will be able to use the VRF without having to code or know the underlying technology layers.
Yes, very cool, very cool. Well, as we finish off this part of the podcast then, Andras, what I'd like to do is just speculate a little bit about the future of NFT utility as people and teams such as yourself just get cleverer and cleverer with the kind of capabilities that the blockchain can unleash. Because one of the, do you know who Tom Bilyeu is? He does a lot of stuff with Steve Aoki, but I like his example. You know, he always talks about the example of having two. Let's say you got two mech, you know, Mechazoid, Mech Warrior NFTs, and you could have it on and like some digital artwork on your wall, and then your mech goes off to battle another mech in some kind of battle royale environment, and depending on whether you win or lose, you can see your NFT taking damage in real time on your wall, and then presumably, you know, if you're still alive at the end of the battle, perhaps you can pay for some kind of power up or use some kind of utility magic potion, and so you kind of can see where I'm going. So, you know what, and I know that you guys are doing some of this already. So maybe I'd love to hear some examples of this kind of utility that you're doing right now, and then look, please extrapolate and speculate from there. What's next?
Sure. This is we actually have a game called Battle Royale that can be played with the Ether cards. Unfortunately, the game is ready. Unfortunately, the user interfaces are not ready. So these are the things that we need to really work together to be able to provide this. But we actually did tournaments among the more adventurous Ether cards holders who were able to play with this. So what happens is, if you have an Ether card, off of that Ether card, you can generate a warrior, which where the warriors abilities and even outlook depends on the utility traits and of the layers of the Ether card. And then you can send this warrior off to battle, and then it will battle with other people's warrior and either win or lose. And if you win, you can actually win very high prices. For example, we have 3 CryptoPunks earmarked for this particular battle royale. So gaming is absolutely something that is up and coming, not because of the visuals or anything like that, but because you really own the assets of that game, including the characters, including the power-up, including everything else. It's not something that you can, somebody can switch off a server and then you lose what you collected, what you created.
Yeah, so it's a bit more personal, right, Andras? It's like you have real skin in the game. So it doesn't matter. The graphics don't need to be amazing, because the skin in the game aspect more than makes up for it, if that makes sense.
At the beginning, the graphics doesn't have to be amazing, but I can foresee that with time, quality and utility will win here as well. Yes. And in general, I do think that in general with PFPs, with NFTs, quality and utility will win on the long term. And what we see is that what NFTs can do is to provide the creative people on the internet to monetize their own creativity. And we are not only talking about artists, we are talking about open source developers, again, cosplayers or YouTubers, other online personalities, or technology service providers. All of these entities and peoples and groups and teams and individuals will be able to utilize utility NFTs to monetize their service or their creativity directly with their community, without having to involve any large third parties. In this way, basically, they can benefit technically 100% of the support of their community. And that's something that did not exist in this form on the internet yet. And this is why I'm really excited about the future of NFTs.
I'm excited too, Andras. And look, speaking of the future of NFTs, one thing that I'd love to get your perspective on. So I think we We learned at the beginning that you have been in the Ethereum ecosystem since the very beginning, and you're very much a technical guy, so you have a very nuanced perspective on this. You're probably obviously biased towards Ethereum, but that's okay. So I just love to hear your views. Let's start with Ethereum. The state of the Ethereum ecosystem at the moment, the transition to Ethereum 2.0. Obviously, there's a big problem with gas at the moment that is pricing a lot of people out of NFTs. So what's the state of Ethereum, and what do you see happening next?
What I see Ethereum, and I've been following it again since 2014, since the beginning. And by the way, the research into proof of stake started in 2014. So it's been a long, winding road that these extremely smart people went through to get us this far. So what I see in Ethereum is in some ways their unwillingness to compromise on the most important things of a public blockchain, which is trustlessness and accountability. And because of that, in many ways, it takes sometimes longer. We can see many other chains, and you're absolutely right. I could be absolutely biased, so that is a caveat. But we can see many of the chains fixing problems by actually giving up some of the fundamentals of a public blockchain. For example, you can be much faster if you give up distributedness, and in this way, chains are being touted as Ethereum killers left and right, and it did not happen yet. Of course, it could happen. Of course, there could be something coming up that is better of Ethereum, and it's very likely that there will be something that will be actually better without compromises. But as of now, I see two fundamental milestones coming to Ethereum in the next 12 months. One is the eventual switch to proof of stake, which is extremely important because finally the FUD about the environmental concerns can be put at rest, because once it is switched to proof of stake, it's going to save 98% of the electricity that is being used right now, which is actually smaller than in other chains, but still is going to be much better. I expect to see that change in next year, May or June. And then the other thing is, but that change will not help with the gas costs. It will help a little bit, but not significantly. What will help with the gas cost is the ZK rollups, which are being implemented at a high pace, which is a layer 2, absolutely trustless layer 2 system that can be done without the complexities of optimistic rollups. And with that, we may actually see hundreds of thousands or millions of transactions in a completely trustless system. And if everything goes well, we will see all of this is within 1 year. But again, this is just my personal opinion, very likely to be biased. And this is just my personal timeline. There was no actual hard deadlines announced for these yet.
Understood, Andras. Thank you very much for your thoughts. Well, let's go to a very quick break, and then we'll come back. We'll have some fun. We'll finish off with the very famous Crypto Conversation Hot Take Round.
In today's crypto market, the team at Brave New Coin are the sector's leading builders of custom crypto indices. BNC's powerful indexing engine draws on Brave New Coin's premium data to calculate high-frequency intraday and end-of-day indices for a wide range of index products. BNC's custom indices help you to gain exposure to the crypto assets class and track your performance against the market without having to become a stock picker. Not sure what you need? A Brave New Coin consultant can help you assess your requirements. Contact BNC today to find out more.
All right, we're back, and I'm with Andras Kristof. from Ethercards, which is, as we've learnt, both fascinating, dynamic NFT collection in its own right, and a platform with all the tools and resources that you need to create your own collection of dynamic NFTs with a rebrand coming up. But look, Andras, I like to finish each podcast with a quick round of rapid fire crypto conversation hot takes. Okay. Are you up for it?
Sure.
All right. We know the answer to question one, Andras, but the question is, where do you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-coin opportunist spectrum?
I think, if I may say, I'm an innovation maximalist, which basically puts me right squarely at the Ethereum camp. But I don't expect that to be the case all the time. I do remember, I'm old enough to remember when Alta Vista was the king of the search engines and this new stuff called Google came along. So right now, I would put my money into Ethereum, but this can always change. We are very early.
We are very early indeed. Well, what would you say then, Andras, is your firmest conviction, crypto opinion?
This is, I would say this, that crypto is a very quickly changing and in the flux industry, very in the midst of very deep research, and new things are coming every day. So if I hear about a blockchain that said that they are not willing to change because whatever they have is the best ever, by definition, I will turn away from that.
Very nicely said, Andras. Well, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. So absolutely. Cast your mind forward, Ethereum, NFTs, what does it all look like in 10 years' time?
My optimistic scenario is that NFTs on Ethereum or whatever else will be the current distributed open source blockchain of the time, but NFTs and the technology will fundamentally change business and funding as we know it. It will enable individuals with a community to fund and monetize themselves, and will provide a fundamentally new way of software development by making open source development feasible without having to rely on donations. This is what I see from the technical point of view, but in general, what I foresee is a fundamentally new way of making business and creating businesses utilizing the internet and NFTs that can connect the individual or entity plus their community in a sort of business engagement that did not exist so far. That is what I can see as being commonplace in 10 years.
Fascinating and hard to argue with that. I like it. Well, Andras, William Gibson said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. It's a famous quote. I know you're very much aware of it, but can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people just aren't really aware of it?
I don't use any service, well, except one. I don't use any service where I need to provide username and password or any other personal information. I use a lot of services online and none of those needs any of my personal information. The future is here, but most people are not aware of this.
That's a great answer. I like that. I like it a lot. You've just got to find those services. They're out there though. Time to get weird though, Andras. Time to zoom out. What do you see as the long-term future for the human race? Do you see dystopia or utopia?
I am addicted to my Star Trek future.
Yes.
I think we will make it. And I think I want to do whatever I can in the rest of my life to move us towards a utopia and not a dystopia.
Fantastic. Wonderfully said, Andras. And it leads us closely and nicely to the final question, which is, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, TV show, or universe?
I obviously like Star Trek because it actually depicts a future that I'm looking forward to. And that is, I think that is very important, and that is something that is missing from our collective consciousness right now. On the other hand, I do have a less well-known novel which depicts a future that also, basically one of my all-time favorites, is a book from Alfred Bester called Tiger, Tiger. And that is an incredibly fascinating sci-fi novel with a future where we eventually make it. And that is a book that I reread like every 5-10 years since my teenage years, and I keep enjoying it. So I think that is something that would be, other people might like it as well.
Well, thank you for sharing, Andras. And look, thank you for coming on the show. It's been a lot of fun talking to you today. Nothing else to say except to hand the metaphorical microphone back to your good self. Take us out, close us down. Please tell the people where they can go to find you on Twitter or wherever you are, and where they should go to learn more about what you guys are building at EtherCards.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting, and thank you very much for the very insightful questions. I very much appreciate it. Regarding EtherCards, I think the best is to connect us on Twitter, which is Ether_cards, or for now, our website is ether.cards, where you can get all the rest of the information. Again, we are in the process of rebranding. My unofficial deadline for the rebrand is 24th of January. That is where I am actually planning to reveal the new entity and the new brand. But until then, you can find us at ether.cards or on Twitter at ether_cards. Thank you very much again for the invitation.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Andras. All the best, and bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, there you go. That was Andras, EtherCards. Fascinating guy, fascinating project. Both the platform is fascinating, and the collection itself is fascinating. So if you don't know too much about that collection, EtherCards on OpenSea, have a look. And if you want to issue your own dynamic collection of NFTs, EtherCards is probably the platform for you. All right, hope you enjoyed that. Hope you learned something. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to the Crypto Conversation in whatever podcast app you are using. But for today, that's us. We are out of here. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave a New Coin.